up until you start to learn how to feel good without having to see reality change, that is when you will manifest. Now, stick around up until the end to learn how is it that you can start to learn how to feel good without having to see reality change, so that in turn you can start manifesting your desires. Now, the main reason why you are dependent upon seeing reality change for you to feel good is because you are attached to the third dimension. The third dimension is one of the planes of reality or existence. Ideally, we have three planes of existence. We have the spiritual plane, which is the highest plane of existence, where your higher self lives or dwells. Then we have the mental plane. Now, the mental plane acts as an intermediary between the spiritual plane and the third dimension. And finally, we have the third dimension, which is also called the physical plane of reality. Now, these three planes of reality, they all need to be aligned for you to be able to manifest your desires. So, when you are attached upon seeing reality change, this means that you dominate or you live mainly on the third or physical plane of reality. And if you are living on the physical plane of existence most of your time, you might even be the one person who thinks that when you work hard, you're going to make it. You believe in working hard, you believe in physical action or action in itself to take you to the next level. What you fail to understand is that the world is mental, spiritual than it is physical. So up until the time whereby you start aligning the mental plane and the spiritual plane, you will never manifest. So how do you go about it? You have first to detach from the physical dimension. And the way to do that is to understand what creates this attachment to the physical dimension. And this is what we call externalization. Now, since we were born from our childhood, we have learned about the world and ourselves externally, not from within. This is to say, your parents have told you what the world is like. Your society have told you what you're supposed to think about the world. In other words, you have created an identity or an image of who you think you are based on your cultural upbringing and your personal history. So people, experiences of externality have told you who you are or who you're supposed to be. Hence, you've grown attached to the physical senses, and the only way that you perceive and understand reality is based on what you see, what you feel, what you touch, and what you smell. And this kind of perception about reality is what limits you to your truest potential. It means that you are attached to the third dimension, and through that attachment, you cannot create. Creation happens in the spiritual planes and the mental planes, and then it gets manifested in the third dimension, whereby we have matter. Okay, so how do you collapse that separation or detachment from the third dimension? You do that by starting to become aware of yourself. To become aware of yourself is to be aware of your thoughts, what you think most of the time, is to become aware of your feelings. What do you feel most of the time? And hence, you can able to know why you act the way you act, because we normally act based on what we think and what we feel. And remember, the thinking, the thought the thought releases an electric charge, and the emotion or feeling releases a magnetic charge. The electromagnetism is what makes you to manifest your desires. So the first point or the first thing to do here is to become aware of your thoughts and feelings. And how do you do that? You do that by becoming the observer or the witnesser. Now, to become the witnesser is to detach from yourself. To detach from yourself is like now you start watching how you act, how you think, and how you feel. Most people out there, they are attached to the body. The body is the physical. The body is the manifestation of the physical plane. Now, when you're attached to the body, you believe and you know for sure that you are the body. Now, you being the body, you think that you are the character. And this is what limits you from manifesting, because you are attached to seeing things change. So, what you do here is you step back and you watch your thoughts. You become the awareness presence, the I am, who is always there watching the things. Remember, you are not the body, You are not the mind, you are simply the observing presence that observes the body and the mind. So, how do you exactly start observing yourself? This is how you do it. Now, all of us, we have this voice in our head. Now, this voice always talks all the time, and this voice is ideally our own voice. Now, this voice always has chatters, it always has dialogues, it always speculates, it always comments about several things. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to become aware when this voice is coming up. Sometimes it might not be a single voice, it might be a dialogue, it might be several voices. Like one voice tells you go here, another voice tells you go there, but ideally it's the same voice. So I want you to notice or depict when this voice is coming up. And when you notice the voice is coming up and it has started talking, now that is what we call thinking. Now, thinking has happened. Remember, you're not the one, you are never the one who initiates thinking. Thinking is something which happens, okay? But when you attach yourself or you become identified with the thinking, you then think that you think, therefore you are, which is not the case. You are not the thinker. You are simply the observer of what? Of the thoughts that pop up into your head. So the next time this voice comes up, I want you to become aware that, okay, the voice has come up. And the reason why this voice comes up is to take you from the present moment. Remember, the present moment is where creation happens. You can never create from the past, or you can never create from the future. You are always creating in the present moment, because what you do in this point in time is what will determine what you will get to experience in the next moment. So if you want to change or create something, you do it in the present moment. So the moment you notice this voice coming up, you are now in the present moment. Okay, now that is the first point. The more you do this, the more you start to detach from your old thinking patterns. You will start to detach from your old programs, and then you'll start to install new programs into your brain. And the more you do this, the more you start to realign your vibration, and the more you create a detachment from the third dimension. And this automatically aligns you to your highest plane. Or now you start to enter within so that you can learn who you truly are. Remember, you have been learning who you are from the external world. But when you now enter into the present moment through watching the mind, you start to now connect with the higher self who is in this point in time within you. That is the first thing that you do. Now, the other thing now, the other thing that will deny you your manifestations is that you are resisting life, or you are not going with the flow of life. So most of us, what we do is we try to control reality. And to control reality, we try to depict what is going to happen next. We try to understand when will our manifestation work, how will it come to be. And remember, there are some things that are actually beyond your control. So you have to understand what you can control and what you cannot control. And through that, you will stop resisting life, which means you will go with the flow of life, and you will be aligned with the principle of rhythm. So this principle of rhythm simply states that in life, we have flows. We have an inflow, we have an outflow. We have a rising and we have a going down. In other words, there is always time for everything. Okay, so when a time for joy happens, go with the flow. Stop thinking about the negative things. Just enjoy, be in the present moment. And also, when things happen which you might perceive to be negative, don't start to label these things as if this is bad, this is good. Simply experience it and allow it to be, because in life you will not always have the rainy day. Sometimes you're going to have the sunny days. And what happens is that when people face the challenges in life, people start to react instead of responding. So when bad things happen, you try to resist them. You try to now you become angry, you become sad, you start to feel guilt, you start to feel shame, right? This is what we call resisting life. Now when you do this, you are not flowing with the flow of life, you are resisting it. And the more you resist life, the universe senses this, and it says that you are not ready to receive what is meant for you. So the more you start going with the flow of life, you will stop trying to control everything and simply accept what you can control and what you simply cannot control. And the more you go in with the flow of life, you will now see things happening. And when you do this, you will start viewing life from what we call the God view. Now, the God view is the view of life whereby we don't have the law of polarity. Now, law of polarity manifests in the physical world as polar opposites. This is to say, in life, everything has its opposite. Okay, we have the night, we have the day, we have good, we have bad, we have evil, we have good. All right. So there is that polar opposite. Everything has its polar opposite. But the truth that you don't know is that these polar opposites are as a result of different vibratory frequencies. Now, hot is the same as cold, but they only vary in vibrations. So essentially, there is no good, there is no bad. They only vary in vibrations. And once you understand this, you raise your view of life. Then you will stop labeling things that happen to you. You will stop saying this is good, you will stop saying this is bad. Because something which might seem good always comes with it something which is negative, and something which seems to be negative always comes with it something which is positive. So when you have this God's view of life, you stop labeling things and you just experience them as they come. And this shows that now you don't have a kind of resisting energy. You are free to experience everything that the life has to throw your way. And when you do this, now you will vibrate higher, because your external reality will not depict or will not get to determine how you feel. And if the external reality or the physical world cannot dictate how you feel, you have transcended the physical, you have transcended the lower planes, and you are now vibrating at the higher planes. And when you do that, you will manifest. So to summarize, we said that in order for you to detach from seeing reality change, you just have to do one thing. And that thing is you have to become present in the moment, which is to be the observer of your mind. When you do this consistently, you enter into the present moment, you collapse the attachment to the mind. The other thing that you do is you stop resisting life and you go with the flow, and you have this God's view of life. Okay, when you do these two things, you will manifest your desires with no doubt in my heart. You will do that. So if you found benefit from this video, I want you to watch this next video here, and then don't forget to like and subscribe into this channel. I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe, stay blessed, and stay awakened.